Right, so we have some directives to perform conditional rendering. Yeah, just like an if-else statement. And maybe if you come from Angular or maybe Laravel, this will look very familiar to you. Again, I'm going to use a clear environment. And what I want to do, I want to let the user in if the age it's allowed, right? If they have the right age. So I'm going to say data, it's equal to, I'm going to say user age, and the age of the user, it's 15, too young, and allowed age is going to be 18. So right from the get-go, the user, it's not allowed to enter because they don't have 18, right? So what I want to do, I want to use the conditional and trying to validate this. And if the user is greater than 18, I'm going to let the user pass. If not, I'm going to say, dude, you're not allowed to enter. So, okay, so I'm going to add a paragraph, just a regular tag. Could be a p, a div, or whatever it is that you want to use. So I'm going to say v if equals, and then open the quotes, right? So inside of the VF, we can use whatever we want to use to check this conditional. So this one, it's going to be equal to doing this on JavaScript. Same thing. All right. So what I want to do, I want to check if the user age is greater than the allowed age. Of course, this is going to be false. But in this case, you're going to say I'm going to say you are good to go. All right. Of course, this is going to fail because the user, it's not allowed. They don't have the right age. So if I reload the application, we are not getting anything. So it's not displaying it. And if I go right here, we get this comment. We are not even getting this, maybe not a paragraph or anything. It's just not rendering this at all, right? That it's important. So what if maybe I want to show a different message if this condition is not true? So what I want to do, I'm going to open a new paragraph. And since we can do if, we can do else. I'm going to do v else and say on this one, you, of course, the error message, you are not allowed, whatever. I'm going to reload it and we get you're not allowed, right? And of course, if I change the age to 19, it's going to display this one and not this one. So just like a if else statement. So one thing that you need to be careful to bear in mind is that the tags, they need to be, close to each other. They need to be right next to each other. If I'm using a if and I want to use an else, if I do maybe a div right here, it's not going to work. It's going to break. I'm going to reload it and we get you're good to go. And then we get hello. Let me just go right here. 15. So it's going to go to this scenario. I reload the application and we are not getting anything. And on the console, error compiling. So we get an error. So they need to be right to each other, right? So that's, something very important. And of course, if you can use the if and else, you can use something else like else if, just like a regular if statement. So, okay, so I'm going to go right here at the bottom and say that the user, the name of the user, it's equal to Francis, and then comma. You'll always use the same example. I kind of like this name. I don't know why. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to add an else if in the middle of here, after the if and before the else, just like an else if statement. So I'm going to use a paragraph and I'm going to say, okay, so v else and then if equals to. So I'm going to say, okay, if the user is triple equal to, and then Francis, we're going to, let the user pass. So you're good to go. So if this is good, we're going to go here. If this is not good, but this is good, we're going to go here. And if not, the fallback. All right. So if I reload the application, we get you're good to go. All right. Now, of course, because the user is Francis, if I just change this, Francis with double S, you're not allowed. Again, this is working. And just like I told before, this works just like an if-else statement. This works just like an if-else statement in JavaScript. Right, so one more thing you can do is to use a method. Just like you would do with JavaScript. You can use a function or a method to evaluate something on the if statement. Just to, avoid confusions, I'm gonna comment this and I'm gonna do a new one. So what I want to do, I want to create a method. So I'm gonna go here at the bottom and add a methods, open and close. Now the method, it's gonna be called check user, and it's of course a function. So this function, it's gonna check if it's Francis or maybe someone else. So I'm gonna return, let me just do this. We're gonna return to true or false. So if this, remember we need to use this, that user, it's equal to, and then Francis, let me just copy Francis, we're gonna say that this statement is true. If not, it's false. Real simple function. So whenever we make a reference to this function, if the user is Francis, everything is gonna be true. If not, it's gonna be false. So now right here with the if, what we can do is say paragraph, then if, open and close, and make a reference to the method check user. And remember that this one is going to be true or false. So of course, if it's true, we want to show it, and if it's false, we want to show something else. So in this case, we say else. Right. So you are not allowed, whatever. So I'm going to reload the application and we get show it. So it's working. If I change it to, I don't know, Steve, I'm going to reload the application and we get you're not allowed. So it works. All right. Really, really simple. And again, if you're maybe if you ask yourself or maybe ask me, are we going to use if? Yeah, the whole time. Now we have a different way of hiding or maybe showing things if this statement is true or false. It's a little bit different. It's same principle but a little bit different. We have vShow. So if you go to the documentation, we have it right here. So this one is real simple but a little bit different. So I'm going to save it. I'm going to comment everything of course, and save it. And what I want to do, I want to use this vShow to check if something is true or false. So I'm going to say show equals true. And again, this one is just like an if statement. I could make a reference to something that calls true, or maybe check if Francis is Francis. I'm gonna do it just like this. Maybe user. So I'm gonna say if user it's equal to Francis, which it is. We know that it is. And sometimes the autocomplete drives me crazy. So okay. So if the user it's indeed Francis, we are pretty much doing the same thing. Then here we want to say show it, right? And if not, we don't want to. So we're gonna copy pretty much the same thing. I'm gonna paste it right here at the bottom, and we're gonna say if the user it's not Francis. So not show it, whatever. So if we go to the application, we get show it because the name is Francis, we know. And if we change it to, again, to Steve, we go to not show it. So, that is work. It's pretty much the same thing we were doing with the if statement, right? Same thing. Now, there is a big difference right here. Let me go back to Francis. If I reload the application, we are getting this one, all right? This one is passing as true. And I go here. We get the first one. We can see it right here. And then if we go to the other one, which is the not show it, we are still getting it, right? It's right here on the DOM. The only difference is that it has display none. So the difference between show and if is that with vShow, everything actually gets rendered on the DOM. But of course, if the condition is false, it's going to change it to display none. And with the if, it's really different. Instead of doing a display none, it will not render the element at all. All right, that is the big difference. Of course, what the user sees, it makes no difference for the user in this case, but it makes a difference for us. Maybe we don't want to render the HTML. I don't want to update. So maybe we don't want to render the HTML right here on the DOM. So if we don't want to do that, then you're going to use be if and not be show. All right, that's the main difference. Okay, so very good. So of course, with a v show, we could use the check user. Let me do this. Check user. We're gonna check the user, and I'm gonna copy and paste it. And of course, if I reload, we get the same result. We can use that method. And I'm gonna go back to the other one because this template is gonna go to you. All right, so I'm gonna upload this template to this lecture, and we're gonna go to the next one, and we're gonna talk and learn how to use a loop. You have the v4 right here, so we're gonna learn how to use it. Let's go to the next one.